Before we get going into your Hockey IQ podcast episode, I want to thank our sponsor, Rapid Shot. Rapid Shot is the smart shooting lane. It's like a batting cage for hockey players. Very cool. Tracks your shot in three ways: accuracy, shot speed, and reaction time. Easy to use. Actually, I used it when I played and was growing up. Very easy. Simply scan your phone in, select your settings, and start shooting. You can see your stats on the app and online. You can check them out at rapidshot.com. Great small business. I actually grew up with one of the owner's sons and have played with all the family members by now, just in local pickups here in Ohio. Very cool local business. Awesome product. I love it. I know quite a few NHLers have them in their homes. A lot of D1 programs have it at their rinks. So you have to check this out. Rapidshot.com. Check it out. Rapid Shot, thank you so much for sponsoring our podcast. On the podcast today, we bring on Dan Tangnes. He is a wonderful coach out of Norway originally, via Sweden, and now in Switzerland. His team, EV Zug, just won the championship this past season. He's got some very interesting tactics. He's taken this program really to the next level and really had a great conversation on how he views program development, player development, putting together a good team, the mentality. So cover a lot of ground on this one and a lot of deep, good quality insight. And I'm always amazed at folks like Dan here that English is not their first language, but they make it seamless. So really excited to share. Without further ado, let's get into it. On the Hockey IQ podcast, we bring on Dan Tangnes. Grew up in Norway, played professionally in Sweden, and then turned into a coach, first in Sweden and now in Norway with an absolutely dominant team some years. And obviously, when you have a good team, you get gutted with talent. We were just talking about Hoffman, who came over and played for the Jackets. So I'm curious, from your background, what were some of the lessons that you learned along the way, or some things that have stuck with you to where you are now?
Yeah, of course, you bring some of your experiences as a player. But I would say in my coaching career, I stopped playing when I was 24. I had a, normal job working on the business side for a few years. When I got deeper into leadership issues, where I really got more passionate about coaching, learning more about people's behavior and leadership issues from the business side, got me really curious how I could apply those things into sports and the hockey side of it as well. So I would say that's the big reason why I got into coaching and back into hockey again. Besides being in love with the game for sure, but I would say that's the biggest reason.
And then I think it's always interesting to look back on our own careers and seeing what maybe we could have done differently, or what we needed from coaches that maybe we didn't get. And it's always the coach's fault why we didn't do better, right? So I'm curious, if you had to go back and coach yourself, how would you go about coaching yourself and improving yourself? Or what are some things that you did well or didn't do so well?
I think growing up in Norway, small hockey country, when you're good, you usually stand out pretty quick, and that was the case on my end as well. Moved to Sweden when I was 16, and I just think taking care of yourself when you're 15, 16 years old, there's a lot to think about, to do, to learn when in that age, except from what goes on the ice. So I would say having a coach that will be fully invested in my situation, trying to be supportive and understanding, and at the same time hard and demanding, would have helped me for sure. But I think just that part of showing a player that you care, showing that you're 100% invested in his development, not in your own career in coaching, first of all, I think that's probably the best advice I would have for other coaches, that if you want to make somebody grow or develop and get better, make sure you're fully invested in him as a person and his career, not your own career.
Servitude to others. I really like that. That's excellent. And it's very funny as coaches finding that line between being tough yet supportive. And we all know coaches that maybe were one over the other, or were maybe just a little too rough. And we could use the arm over the shoulder, as they say. So fascinating answer there. I'm curious on the development paths that you've seen from your time in Sweden, time in Switzerland, time in Norway, and what that compares to in North America and how we organize ourselves.
Of course, there's a big cultural difference, I would say, both from North America to Europe and from country to country in Europe as well. The big difference here is that usually in all countries in Europe, the pro organizations are set from top to bottom. They have the pro team at the top and the youth or the hockey school at the bottom, and every age group in between is controlled by your organization. So I would say you have a clear strategy what to do with the player's development from he starts playing hockey all the way up to pro level. So that's a big cultural difference. But for me, I would say practice is a big factor. I think if I look at the difference between North America at junior level and in Europe, I would say a North American player, if you take the Canadian Hockey League or even the CHL compared to Europe, I would say that the amount of games is a big difference. But on the other side, the amount of practices is also a big difference. I'm a big believer that as a coach, your preparations and your practices, this is where the foundation is laid, and you have the biggest influence on a player's development and even on a team's development. So I would say a junior player in Sweden compared to a junior player in Canada, there's a big difference how the daily operations look like. And I think there's no right and wrong, but you will have a lot more repetitions, a lot more practice, a lot more focus on development in Europe, where in North America, and especially in Canada, you would have more focus on the competition. So that gives you different sides of the development, but for sure a big difference in a different approach.
And I'm curious, since there's this big, I mean, everyone wants to develop and everyone wants to get better, especially their players, and how they go about it is wildly different. So, there's a lot of focus on competition in North America, a lot more on the training in Europe. I'm curious on how you leverage learning mentally as well. So that hockey IQ, the hockey sense, along with the actual hockey skills of being able to execute and weight shift and make better passes, shooting, etc.
I think if you should go a little bit deeper on it, it goes back to your behavior. If you want to be better at something, go back and see, okay, what am I doing? How am I doing things? Why am I doing things? And we talk a lot about developing good habits. I think everybody in sports and in business talks about our team culture, our organizational culture, but you have to break that down into what are we actually doing? What is our behavior look like on a daily basis? So your behavior leads into routines, which leads into habits, things you do without thinking about it. And that will create some kind of a culture, a good culture, bad culture. I don't know, but I think things you do every day, that's what's going to identify you at the end of the season or at the end of the day. Like, which habits are we able to create during a season? And this is something we try to be really firm on, no matter if it's a game or a practice or you're in the gym working out or you're on the ice on a pre-practice, skill practice, you're trying to do things with a purpose, and you're trying to do things to get a little bit better. And to have the player take ownership of that, this is maybe one of the most important things we can influence as coaches, that they understand that we're here to guide them, to help them get better, but they have to own the process. And we can be a tool and a help to keep them on track and to teach them some things along the way, but they need to have a clear plan, a clear purpose in what they're doing and why they're doing it.
And you're very big on mindset, talking about what, why, how, want to versus have to, these types of things. Where did that idea of mindset come from for you, that you find it so valuable and so important, something that you really wanted to put at the forefront of your coaching? And then what are maybe some of these things that you're focusing on with developing mindset in your players?
I think this is maybe one of the key things to develop. When I started as a coach, I think just like all other coaches in the beginning of their careers, you look at the tactics. You want everything to be perfect. You draw things up at the whiteboard and you expect them to look exactly like that when the player starts executing on the ice or during a game or during practice. And you find out pretty quick that it's not that often that it looks the way on the ice that it does on the whiteboard. And I think that's where you understand that, okay, I have to help the players solve situations on the ice. And maybe the biggest key to doing that is to have the right mindset going out there. What am I doing? How am I doing it? Why am I doing this? We try to help the players. When we talk about tactics, we try to create a concept more than let's take, for instance, a breakout. We don't say go up the wall, go in the middle, go D to D, up the wall, whatever. We try to give them, hey, these are your 3, 4, 5 different options from what you see right there, right then. We have to establish a structure that allows you to try all the different options you might have, and depending on which options you choose, we're going to support that option along the way. We try to be a puck possession team, and being a puck possession team, you know that you're going to make some mistakes. You're going to turn the puck over once in a while. Then you need to have a system that allows you to turn the puck over or to lose the puck. So you have maybe different layers of security net if that happens. And so the mindset is okay, we want to take care of the puck, but I can't yell at the player every time he turns the puck over. If we tell him that, hey, you got to make a play here. You're not allowed to chip the puck up, or you're not allowed to throw it away. Then we have to know that it's he needs to feel that it's okay to make mistakes, and his teammates need to know that, okay, he's going to try to make he's going to try to make a play here. If he doesn't succeed, we got to have his back. Again, mindset and the understanding, the big picture is very important for the players and the whole team to understand before you go into the details of the tactics. So I think this is where we usually go wrong as coaches. We start talking tactics and details, but we're missing out understanding and explaining the big picture. What kind of team do we want to be? What's the most important thing for us? What happens when things doesn't go exactly like we want it to be? How do we handle those situations, for instance? And yeah, that's where where we believe that's a big part of or a big key in coaching to help the players understand the big picture of things and approaching the game with the right mindset.
I love that. For my team, I call it commander's intent. Like, you need to understand what the commander needs of you and how your position on the chessboard or on the battlefield or on the ice affects everyone else. So kind of having that big picture in mind, and then filter it down and allowing the players to make those micro decisions or make the mistakes in your references. So I love that. I'm very curious maybe on the evolution of how you've gone about implementing your team tactics, because your team tactics are very unique in the world of hockey. And maybe I'll let you explain that first, of how your team is much different than most, but then also how have you gone about implementing that? You know, you've got a very unique, very successful program. What has that been like and how have you gone about it?
Well, like I said, I think going into coaching, you start with having an idea of how you want to play your offense, how you want to play your defense, and then you find out like, oh shit, I have to make sure that they connect and that everything is connected, and I can explain it to the players in a way that is easy to understand. So the players doesn't have to think too much playing the game. They know that with the puck, I have different options. Without the puck, there's not much for me to think about. So they don't end up in the situations, should you go or should I go? Should I go or should I stay? Should I pass or should I shoot? And then it slows them down. So basically our philosophy is we want to keep the puck and create as many dangerous scoring chances. That means as many shots close to the net as possible, and eliminate what I would say call alibi shots, shots from bad angles or bad areas that where you don't get a good chance of retrieving the puck or getting a second opportunity, or when you give the other team a good chance to win the puck back easily. And when we lose the puck, have a system that allows us to win it back as quick as possible before the other team has a chance to get organized. So it can look a little bit wild at times, and especially in the beginning of the season. But I think, and I hope, it's pretty hard to play against when all the stars are in the right place.
Yeah, it's a high pressure. I almost compare it to the Gangen press that Jurgen Klopp has used for quite some time now, of just high pressure. What led you down the path to wanting to play the way that you guys do with such high pressure? And it looks to be more risky in many spaces, but I think it's probably less risky than most people think it is on how you guys play. And maybe explain before that exactly what you're trying to do and why you've got such unique tactics.
I don't know how unique it is. I see teams in different leagues playing similar styles, and like you said, Jurgen Klopp in soccer has been successful doing it with Liverpool. I think if I watch Carolina play, I think they have got a similar style in the NHL, and it's been a big part of maybe the Swedish model the last 10 years as well. That traditionally it's been a 1-2-2. Waiting, trapping, neutral zone forecheck, set breakout, a slow game. And I think the game has just evolved into a much more fast-paced game when you try to like take care of the puck, move the puck as quick as possible north. And when you lose it, instantly try to make to stay in pressure before the other team gets organized, so they don't have the time to play the way they want to play, if that makes sense to you.
So did you always start with this high pressure, high energy type style, or did you morph into that as you've gone along? Or how do you approach tactics? I know a lot of people that will change their tactics based on their team, or some people that'll build their team around their tactics. I'm curious what that is for you.
Definitely, I think as a coach, you should have some kind of conviction that this is how I want the game to be played. Of course, you need to share that vision with your GM and with your employer, and that's the case here in Zug in Switzerland. So we try to build our team around the identity that we're trying to build. We try to be a puck possession team, like I said. We're trying to recruit players that are able and willing to take responsibility for the puck a lot. That's what we talk a lot about. That we're not throwing the puck away. We have players, or we look for players with good pass completion, and also that wants to stand out with the puck. They want to be involved. They want to have the puck. So maybe not the traditional stay-at-home defenseman or fourth line centerman that chips it out and chips it in and finishes checks. And I think we want players that can do a little bit of everything. And but taking care of that puck, that's a huge thing in European hockey with the big ice surface. Where you have more ice, but you have a longer way to the net when you reach the offensive zone as well. So yeah, I would say, to answer your question shortly, we try to build our team around the philosophy, the hockey philosophy, that we want to take care of the puck and we want to be intense after losing it, so we can retrieve it back as quick as possible.
Fascinating. I've got a bunch of questions off of that, but maybe we start with the differences in ice surfaces. So most people listening to this will be on North American ice, or I got quite a few people that listen from Sweden. I'm curious, how does the large ice surface affect what you're trying to do? Like, for example, you don't want to give the puck away and you want to get it back earlier, but with such large spaces, there's more room out there. So I'm curious of how that affects, or how you see that affecting, or.
Yeah, of course, you got more ice to use to when you have the puck. So you got more width out there. So I think the breakout patterns, the entry patterns, the cycle patterns in the offensive zone, and also how you defend looks a little bit different compared to North American sized rinks, when there's less space, and when you enter the offensive zone, usually you're close enough to the net to create a scoring chance. Like I said earlier, here we try to. What's different and could sound stupid or weird is that we try to eliminate the alibi shots, which I call it, shots from bad angles, shots that doesn't generate a lot of danger offensively. Instead, we try to keep the puck and almost play keep away until we can create a better chance closer to the net, with the puck going over the central line, or with the puck going low to high or high to low, when there's harder for the other team to defend, and also harder for the goalie to control both that particular shot, but also what happens after the shot. So I would say that's a big part of it. And also then defensively, that you try to keep the other team away from creating too much offense close to our net.
And are you utilizing analytics when you're talking about this? Because you're talking about puck retrievals off of the shot. So I'm assuming there might be some strategies that you have. Not sure that you want to give them away, but some strategies you have, or ways that you're utilizing analytics to help in how you play the game itself, or are you utilizing analytics more for player recruitment? And how do you make sure that you're using that tool, that resource, most effectively?
Of course, we have a analytics team that helps us, or gives us a different perspective on the game, and gives us an outside perspective and a non-emotional perspective on what actually happens during a game, which is very valuable for us, and where we can also track how successful we are in different aspects of the game. Like I said, we want to be a puck possession team. How successful are we carrying the puck out of our zone with control into the opposition offensive zone? And how much danger are we actually creating from our puck management? What does it lead to? So yeah, it's a big important tool for us, and it's something we pay a lot of attention to. So yes, we use it, I would say, more to evaluate our game and to prepare for our opponents than almost that we do for recruiting players. But of course, we use it there as well.
So I wrote a newsletter post called "Point Shots Suck." What are your thoughts on point shots? Are they good, bad, or indifferent?
They can be good, but I think that the point shot itself is useless unless you have a plan or a strategy what happens around the point shot. So which areas do you cover when that point shot comes? From where the point shot comes, who goes where? And usually the point shot itself is not too dangerous, but you can create a second or third situation that might lead into a really dangerous scoring chance. So I wouldn't say it's not dangerous, but I wouldn't say that it's our primary offensive weapon to use the point shot.
Okay. So if we break this down further and you let into it, of how are we best creating that second and third chance opportunity? Is it when you say that, are you talking about rebounds, or are you talking about rebounds plus here's our strategy to recover the puck and quickly attack again before they fully get back into structure? What does that mean to you? How do you create those second and third chances?
Like you said, you have to have a plan for your forwards and even the other D that doesn't take the shot to cover different retrieval areas where it's most likely where that puck is going to pop out after it's saved by the goalie, or if it's maybe fronted by one of the defensemen. I'm taking. I hope we talked about when the puck goes all the way towards the net or the net area here. And from there, usually you get a broken play when the other team is not, they're not perfectly set in their positions or perfectly organized. And usually that's where you get your best opportunities. It doesn't have to be off a broken play either. It could be like we tell our Ds, like, if you don't have a clear shot, if you don't see that we have clear traffic or people in the areas where we want to have them, use the cycle. So they will push the puck back behind the net, and we can try to get a low to high attack or get a wraparound or the puck around across the central line to create a more dangerous situation. But the retrieval areas, I think it's a big key that we are in those areas as quick as possible and as often as possible.
Yeah. So how do you like your team to have the best opportunity at retrieval? So I feel like it's a hot button topic for a lot of coaches of how do we increase our retrievals, because at least in North America, I'm not 100% sure on what the save percentages in Europe. It's got to be relatively similar. 90% of shots aren't going in the net. So what is our plan beyond the shot? Even from a good area, it's still 85% or something like that, where the puck isn't going in the net. So what are some strategies, and how do you like to go about that? Is it movement based, position based, body orientation? What does that look like?
I would say it's a mix of everything. And this is, I think, where there's a difference between the big rink and the small rink as well. Like you said, if 90% of all the shots we're taking doesn't go through or in the net, then we're taking a lot of bad shots too. And I think that's a topic we don't talk enough about. Like, why are we shooting from that area? Was that a smart shot to take, or should we maybe invest of creating a better shot opportunity in the next play? Could we keep the puck in the offensive zone and create a better opportunity in the next situation? This is how we try to approach the game a little bit. So we're not taking the bad shots too often that might get fronted or might get blocked or might get saved too easily. Then we rather try to keep it within the team, give each other options to pass the puck or to keep it away from the other team, and maybe create some confusion in their D-zone coverage that we can take advantage of in the next situation. So to answer your question, I think in general, in all leagues, in all levels, we're taking too many bad shots, and I think we can teach players to be a little bit smarter, holding on to the puck, and having a little bit more patience to maybe create a better opportunity in the next situation.
Yeah, I know in North America, there's so many defensemen that'll get a low to high pass and immediately shoot it, or they'll take 2 strides to the middle and then shoot it, and it's almost mindless without a plan. And so I just got to get a puck on the net. And I agree with you of like, yes, but if we're going to do that, we need to have a strategy. Or is there a better option? Did someone pop out to the back door, whatever it may be, that would be way more effective. So I like how you're approaching this. So when you're going about recruiting players that play a possession level, possession style, or have the ability or the want to hold on to that puck more, what is a skill set that you're looking for? Are you looking for your 6'7", 6'9" charas that are just absolute mountains and able to protect the puck with their back to the play, or what is that for you?
I would say number one is always hockey intelligence, like the players that understands the game on a little bit deeper level, that is open-minded to learning more about the game. That's probably the number one quality that we're looking for. Of course, we need the different sized players and players that are fast and can protect our net and hold on to the puck, protect the puck in a good way. But when we talk about puck protection, I think the best way of protecting the puck is to keep the puck within the team. And if you have a player that always holds on to the puck, he usually gets stuck in that corner and allow the other team to get organized again. So not necessarily those kind of players like you explained, but the players that can move the puck quick, can get themselves in a new situation, like with a give and go play. I would say that's a quality that I think is going to be more and more attractive on all levels in the upcoming years in hockey as well.
And I would say that a lot of youth players probably struggle with the not watching their passes. Making that pass and then moving. So it sounded like you're talking about moving it, giving that puck up and then going. So the give and go, or the give and go hockey, whatever that is. Have you had access to a lot of the youth players and how to develop that kind of skill set? Because I know a lot of players, even at the professional level, that still don't have that habit ingrained in them to pass and immediately move before they see that pass has been actually completed and on the other player's stick.
Yeah, I think that's a big cultural difference as well. Like I said earlier in the show here, that we are fortunate enough to have our players in the organization basically sometimes from they start playing up until they're professional. And of course, there's a selection process going on the way there, but we can actually steer what we teach the players all the way down. And I think this is a skill, like is it the give and go plays, pass the puck to areas, move yourself into areas that you can teach all the way down to kids that are 5, 6, 7 years old. And it's something we're not doing enough of, I think, if you compare to soccer. If you see the big dynasties in soccer the last 10, 20 years, maybe as Barcelona as the prime example, they've been doing that in their academy for 20 years and had a lot of success for it. And I think that's where we need to go with our hockey programs as well. We need to teach the player to own and control that puck within a small unit. If it's 3-on-3 or 5-on-5 or 4-on-4, depending on the age, doesn't matter. I think this is the system or the concept that we're trying here in Zug to teach and implement from their small up until our professional team.
Fascinating. And something that you said in there was probably maybe a slightly offhand comment, but I think super valuable when you talked about throwing area passes. And being able to read space where you're able to just throw a puck into an area, or you understand movement and how the game's unfolding for those area passes. Curious, what do you look for? Like for me, I'm always looking for area passes as a sign of game intelligence. Is there a way that you look for game intelligence and being able to evaluate this player is going to be successful at the highest level or be able to step up from, the academy into the first team?
Yeah, I think this you can see right away how smart or how intelligent a player is in how much he can read the spaces out on the ice. Like okay, I can't find any good tape to tape pass here. Can I put it in an area where we can be first on that puck? I'm not going to be open here, but can I skate into an area where we can use off the end wall play and I can get it, for instance. For our cycle plays, I think we use that a lot. Like we don't have anything, we don't have a good shot opportunity, put it in an area where we could be first on it, and we reset and we go again. And we try it over and over again, and maybe we stretch them out, we create some confusion, and we're going to get a better chance the next time. And to have players that wants to hold on to the puck, wants to take care of the puck, that is not afraid to lose it or just chipping it away and not wanting to take responsibility for it. That's a key skill that we're looking for and that we're trying to implement in our teams here.
And I'm assuming this development happens off the ice as well, because when you're talking about a player taking responsibility for a puck, it obviously helps if a player is taking more responsibility off the ice, whether it be for their own preparation, how they're going about living their life, etc. I'm curious, how do you have that off ice component? You mentioned in our first question about yourself of being able to do all of these things off the ice, have that supportive environment that allows you to have success. Curious how you influence the off ice and the on ice and the person and the player together.
And we're very fortunate here to have maybe the top of the world facilities and some of the brightest brains in sports science here as well, in-house in the building. For those of you who don't know, we have an owner, our president of the club, that has his background in science. So he created this big sports science center where we work out and we have our practice facilities. So we had a lot of help with a lot of smart people in terms of off-ice training, nutrition, health management, recovery studies, and so on. So that's a big part of the Zug identity as well, to make sure that we take care of all parts of the athlete, not just the hockey part. But if you look at it on a development, from a development perspective, I think it's very valuable for young players to play different sports growing up, and also to be interested in different sports, when you can learn so much from, for instance, basketball or soccer or other sports that you can take different tactics and elements out from, very, very similar to hockey. So we try to encourage our young players to do different sports up until they're 13, 14. Maybe they have to choose hockey, hopefully, if they got a talent for that. But usually I think there's a big help with doing different sports growing up and getting interested in different sports and understanding different sports as well.
All right, I want to be respectful of your time, so I got two last questions for us here. First one, based off what you just talked about with having a background in science and the new facility in sports science, what are some areas or groundbreaking areas or areas that you're seeing a lot of advantage from, or something that maybe people aren't thinking about that is super powerful for their own development or your team's development in this case, going beyond just the traditional. I lift weights in the off season. I watch a little bit of video, and I work with my skating coach. Like what are some sports science where we can go a little bit deeper than just the broad picture that you would think of an athlete training in the off season?
So if you break it down on the professional level, for our professional athletes, I think that the biggest takeaway so far for us is to the studies and that has been done on recovery. Usually in Switzerland, we play 3 games a week. We play every Tuesday night, Friday night, and Saturday night. So that means that you don't have too much time to practice, work out more than we're already doing. And I think this is the same in the NHL. But there's not enough studies being done, I think, in what are you doing in between the games, in between practices, so that you can be fresh, get more out of every practice opportunity, and of course be more physically and mentally ready when it's time for execution, game days. So we've been doing a lot of blood testing, what do you call it? Do a lot of research of the brain, how mentally or how fresh your brain is to make different decisions during a game, and also how much the nutrition affects your body, both mentally but of course physically. This has been the best or most interesting takeaway so far for us, I think, working with the scientists.
So when we talk about refreshing, obviously there's a sleep component to it, making sure we're getting enough sleep. And that's something that LeBron out of where I went to college, Akron, Ohio, is massive on. So I'm curious, what does a good recovery look like? Is it an active recovery where you're going and doing like yoga and things like that? Or is it just kind of like shutting off, hitting the couch, watching a movie type?
It could be different. I think this is very individual as well, and you have to find out what works for you. But what we learned so far is that hockey players in general has a tough time falling to sleep after a game, for instance. There's a lot of things to be processed after the game. Your adrenaline is still high. Can we find different routines after a game to get your adrenaline down quicker, for your brain and your whole body to shut down a little bit quicker, so you can maybe get 2-3 extra hours of sleep before it's time to get up again. So that could be breathing exercises, for instance, on the bus on the way from a home game or from a road game. It could be what we're eating after a game. Some players can't eat at all, so we gave them the opportunity where we created a smoothie that they could eat after a game, for instance, so they get the same nutrients in that they would need or they would get for the whole full meal, but they're not able to eat after a game, so they drink their smoothie instead. So that could be some things to do. But like I said, during the day, it's the more efficient we can be in practice and the more efficient we can be in our routines after a game and during our practice routines, the more time you get to recover. And if you want to go for a walk, or if you watch Netflix or whatever you want to do to get your mind off the game for a while, that's individual. But I think what you can do in terms of getting more sleep and getting the right nutrition, having the right nutrition plan, that's where we found that we gained a big advantage compared to before.
Excellent. Seems simple, but talk is cheap, as they say. So I've really enjoyed this conversation, and I have so many follow-up questions, but I don't want to be rude here. I do want to touch on forechecking, because it's something that happens while we don't want to dump the puck in. Sometimes there's loose pucks, and we have to do a structured forecheck per se. what goes into a successful forecheck for you? What are the key elements? How are you teaching a successful forecheck to get that puck back, and so we can get possession and keep that puck and make offensive plays without having to have that puck all the way down the ice and we got to go 200 feet or however long to make our plays and get our chances. So I'm curious for you, the forecheck, if you could go into what are you teaching, what makes it effective, how do we go about being effective on our forechecks?
I would say, first of all, I come back to the puck management and the possession style. If you wanna be a good forechecking team, how you place that puck is going to be crucial for you to be successful on the forecheck. If you just get rid of that puck to get off the ice or whatever, then it's tough for your team to get close and put pressure on the forecheck. So that, I would say, that's the number one thing. If you want to be a successful forechecking team, make sure you have a plan to place the puck in areas when you can be close, or if you can even be first on that puck when it goes down. Second of all, I think you have to be good at angling. So angle the D's to an area where you want them to go or where you want the puck to end up. And also, we talk a lot about having the flow coming home. So we got 3 different layers on our forecheck. So we talk about the number 1 guy, the pressure guy. Your job is to put full pressure. Second guy, you're the support guy. Your job is to get in there and support that F1 as quick as you can. And the F3, you're the balance guy. You have to make sure that you create the balance so our Ds can gap in. And if the F1 and F2 get beaten, you have to make sure that you create that wedge through the neutral zone so we can put pressure at the latest at their own blue line so we don't give away a carry-in for free. So I think it's important to remember that not every forecheck is going to be successful. That means that you're not going to win the puck behind the goal line in the offensive zone 9 out of times on the forecheck. But if you have a plan when it doesn't happen, so maybe your F1, F2 get beaten, you can still have a plan how you can win the puck in the neutral zone, and you can create a good transition or opportunity for a takeaway in the neutral zone that you can take advantage of offensively. So having the flow coming back and the 3 layers, that's something that has been successful for us on our forecheck.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to thank you. That's the end of my questions. But I'll throw it open. Is there anything that you want to touch on or things you want to speak on that you think are valuable and important for other players, parents, coaches to know?
No, for coaches, I think what I started with, make sure that when you are devoted to coaching, you're devoted to helping players become better or to developing and become better. You're there for that to happen. They're not there to make you a better coach. And when you devote yourself to the players' development and you invest in the relationship with the players, this is when you can allow yourself to be tough. It's a lot like parenting. When your kids know that you care about them, they know you have to be tough on them at times when they deserve it as well. And it's the same thing in coaching. When they know that you care, there is no drama when you're hard on them. And I will also say this: if you want a player to develop, you can be hard on the things that is related to attitude, character, discipline. Those are choices everyone can make that has nothing to do with talent, has nothing to do with experience or the paycheck you have. But it's your job to help them develop the skill, because that's not a choice. That's your job to help them. So if they make mistakes in those areas, make sure that you support them and you help them and understand that it's going to happen. And if you can reach out to them on that level, usually that's going to have a huge effect. But if you're tough on them on the things that they can't control, usually they stop listening to you after a little while.
I have a saying about yelling at your team. It's like yelling at your spouse. The more you do it, the less of effective it becomes. So I like that. You make them know that you care, and then you can hold them accountable. Not so much to you, but to themselves of what they want to accomplish. So no, that's excellent. Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure to be on the show.
That concludes this week's episode. Thanks for joining us here at Hockey IQ. If you haven't already, take a quick moment to hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, and drop a review. If you want to be a great teammate, even recommend us to a friend. You can follow us at Hockey's Arsenal on Twitter and Instagram. Check out the website, hockeysarsenal.com, where you can subscribe to the weekly newsletter. You won't regret it. Catch your buttes here next week for a brand new episode.